Hey, here we are, right here live on the Lonestar Sports Network with the Lonestar Sports Show. Lady Life, Honey the Prince, and yours truly, Alan Branch. Today's show is brought to you by FastSmallSports.com. FastSmallSports.com, located there in Chicago, Illinois, where it's headed up by its founder and CEO, Ross Comerford, taking basketball into the 21st century through the vehicle of technology. I always want to thank them and appreciate how they allowed us to continue to progress and stay in the game. Dollars and cents to stay in the game. They've allowed us to be able to stay in this game and grow and move in the direction that we're moving in and be able to bring you quality cutting-edge information on what's going on in Texas and how it relates to Texas and all things Texas, all things sports. Here we are right here on Thursday, August 23rd, rolling on down through the dog days of August are just about to get away from us, which I'm not complaining. The mornings have gotten really nice and cool, and you kind of can see fall just hanging over there. But I know we're probably going to get some other crazy heat wave before it's all said and done. That'll remind us that we still live in Texas, and it can, all the way through Labor Day. Want us, God, to keep on blessing the seas out there, and we don't get too hurricane active right there. You know, of all the years of living in Houston, Texas, boy, about this time of the year right now, you watching the water temperature, the ocean temperature, what all is going on, and trying to figure out, you know, what's going to happen. Is that going to turn into one? That's not going to turn into one. And you know, it's an interesting feeling. You know, I've always, I guess we'll say, had the luxury or foresight that I've dodged some big bullets in Houston, but did have to sit through Allison, which was no fun. 63 inches of rain and roughly about 30 hours, and that was something to behold. But so hopefully we won't have a crazy. I mean, everything got through going through what Houston went through last year. We don't wish that on any place. And then Haiti, I believe, it was Haiti still partially, probably half the whole country was still without electricity due to what took place with that situation. So hopefully we can get on the fall and cool off and enjoy some golf and some nice cool weather. And guess what? Football. Get in. We want to send our condolences, our concerns. I shouldn't say condolences. Our concerns out to Travis Frederick, center for the Dallas Cowboys, who's been diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is a something similar to some of the other neurological diseases that have really attacked your neurological system and inability to cause a lot of fatigue and things of that nature. One of the interesting things that I did read today was that, you know, a large percentage of people actually get cured or become very functionally able to live a full life. So, you know, a lot of times we don't, you know, when we see these things, we're so tangled up in sports and we're so engaged with sports, we're trying to figure out, you know, when they're going to play again and if they're going to play again, how long they're going to be out. In some of these situations, just hoping. I mean, after going through everything I went through with Andrew Jones, you know, he's just, you know, you're thankful to be alive and not have a death sentence, you know, and that's how fragile life can be sometimes. We take for granted and get caught up in all the things that we're doing, and we just, especially in sports, we lose track of how blessed we really are. But we send our prayers and best wishes out to Travis Frederick, and we do realize he'd be greatly missed on one of the 2 or 3 best offensive lines in NFL right now. Not sure what direction that's going to go in, and I'm not sure the Dallas Cowboys are sure what direction they're going in on that deal and how that's going to go. Place a lot of your centers have the ability. I mean, a lot of your guards have the ability to slide over and play center, and a lot of people don't even realize that the value of the center position. I was talking to someone the other day. When you look at football, it's right down the middle where all of the communication, all the decisions, all the play calling take place, and that's the quarterback, the center, and the middle linebacker, or the main people that direct the progress of everything that you see happen once the ball is snapped. So that's a big loss. It's bigger than just him being a tremendous running pass blocker and being a part of a strong offensive line like that. He's also the leadership of everything else that's going to be going on. So we hope that will continue to see progress. I don't think we are real optimistic about if he'll play again this season or not, but, you know, who knows? You know, and I haven't done enough research to really say if he will. And then they don't know, I think, at this stage. Everything that I did read was unable to, you know, the best thing that I heard is that, you know, he will be able to return to a normal functional life. Is that in the NFL as an NFL player, or is that just a good functional life in what and how he'll live? Yeah, we got a lot of things online tonight. We're going to bring some special guests in that I'm really, really proud of. Carrie Patterson Brown, which will be bringing her NFL's husband in. Retired NFL husband in is accompanying her in the process of building Legacy School of Sports and Sciences, located in Spring, Texas, just north of Houston, Texas. I think is really, really great. I don't want to give it all away right now. We got a lot of other things to talk about before we get around to that. One of the most interesting things I realized that Dak Prescott only made about $700,000-$800,000 a year, but I never put it in the context of how underpaid he was. He's the 63rd paid quarterback in the NFL, and Aaron Rodgers makes 28 times the amount of money that Dak Prescott makes.
Wow.
Is he 28 times better than him?
No.
What does 28 times better than Dak Prescott look like? That's what I want to know.
Prime Tom Brady?
Tom Brady's not even, paid. I mean, and the one thing, and all is obviously this is done in some form of novelty and enjoyment, analyzing, looking at things. A lot of this stuff is timing too. Big part of what's going on is that Dak Prescott is still under his initial contract and will turn over, and I don't think he's going to make 28 times the money that he's making now.
Right.
I'm not even sure he's going to make 14 times the amount of money he's making now, but he will make a lot more money.
Do you think he'll be a top 10 paid quarterback once his contract's up?
A lot of it has to do with what happens this year.
Yeah. Lady says no.
Lady over there hating, lady Cowboy hater. She an undercover Cowboy hater. That's the worst kind. That's the ones you got to watch. You let them in and let them get on the wagon and get in there, and everything be drinking your Kool-Aid and going along with everything, going rah.
All of a sudden she wears a different team shirt.
Yeah, or no, just come out with one of them on a Lonestar Sports Show. Come out with them little wisecracks, one of them little sneaky. One of those little sneaky real punches when you wasn't looking. So I feel, where the hell did that come from? I thought she was with us. She was raised on the Dallas Cowboys. She's just a little upset with that. Most Dallas Cowboy fans, a lot of people don't realize is most Dallas Cowboy fans have a beef about something with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
They love them so much. They enjoy it. You grow up. A lot of people, the America's team, this, that, and the other. But when you actually grow up a Dallas Cowboy fan, it's way bigger than that, or you because it invades your household from your whole life. Two things happen on Sunday. You go to church and the Cowboys play, and you start a kid out on that at 3 and 4 and 5 years old, and hold him in that deal. He ain't got nowhere else to live, so you get about 15 years of that. He got a lot of perspective on the thing, and it's It brings about a little bit of a love and hate relationship. Some of my buddies on my Cowboy chat line, they all Cowboy fans. We all get together and get a few adult beverages and some real good food, and they just pulling for the Cowboys to win and cussing them at the same time. They should have done this. They should have done that. And that's what it all comes about, all that. But we're wishing the Cowboys the best. It is, how about them Cowboys? It is football season. Things are going on, in the deal. And losing to Travis Frederick is going to have a lot to do with it. But let's move around back to college football. College football gets kicked off. We just had the airways and all of our sports stations and talk shows all bombarded with just tons of Urban Meyer talk. I was never a Urban Meyer fan. I never was an Urban Meyer hater. I never really had analyzed him in a lot of detail or to any magnitude, other than the fact that he do a good job of preparing his team and had some success. I know he had a lot of off the field issues when he was in Florida with his team. Record number of off the field incidents in NCAA Division I football, 1A football at that time, but he didn't have a monopoly on that, and his numbers were a little higher than most. But that's one of the biggest things. Even when I'm talking to some of my Division I basketball coaches, and they're analyzing their teams right now, and this leads right into where I'm going with this whole Urban Meyer thing, is that they all are saying, okay, here's where we are on the court. Now, what is it that we have to worry about off the court individually, each one of these players? What can we do? It's kind of like an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure type thing. So they're analyzing, looking at these kids and really trying to attack their vulnerability, weaknesses, trying to protect them from themselves, some of their bad choices. You analyze and look at it, especially in this climate. But that's my problem. That's my problem with this whole Urban Meyer deal. Everybody says, well, he should be fired, he's this, that, and the other. And they're probably 100, somewhere pretty close to 100% right. There's a lot of things I could say if it was. But this is where I want to turn it back to. Excuse me. This is where I want to turn it back to. Why is it that the kids, the players, can be held to a certain level of accountability and expectations and rules and code of ethics and how they have to function, but every time we get one of these high-powered coaches, or anyone that's at this high-powered situation or in the leadership role, we always compromise, make excuses, allow some committee to go behind closed doors and make a choice or a decision or rationalize it to the point of, hey, we are not going to mess up what we have going on. And that's my interpretation. I'm going to come back and talk about it more after the break. But my interpretation of this thing is basically that group at Ohio State right there, the Buckeyes went in and said, hey, how do we fix this? They weren't in there trying to figure out was he right or wrong. How do we fix this that we can be publicly and politically accepted to move forward and not take too much heat and keep on going along? They're sitting there saying, hey, we were 6-5 before this guy came here, and now we're sitting here roughly 71 games, maybe lost 7 or 8 games with about a 91% win rate. We're not going to forsake this for anything. So, that's the big money piece. So they look at the kids as replaceable and disposable, but you turn back around and you pay these guys $6, $7, $8 million a year, and they're not disposable, even though they have clauses in their contract that they have to hold up to certain things. You got institutional control and accountability. We got a lot of things to talk about this thing that's really bigger than what's going on right there in the horseshoe in the great state of Ohio. And Ohio State Buckeye football is, where are we and how we analyze and make choices and decisions and what really rules. Is it win at all costs? Everybody loves to throw that one out there, but I think it's even bigger than win at all costs. It's some stuff that comes with winning. We come back. This particular segment was brought to you by HardhamHotels.com. Hardham Hotels located in the great city of Houston, Texas, the Bayou City down there. Go look at HardhamHotels.com. Take a listen to what we have to tell you about it and find out the reason why you should put your money where you sleep. Back in 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show.
Hardham Hotels. Make money where you and millions of others spend money. Hardham Hotels Investment and Development Group's primary disciplines include hotel acquisitions, hotel development, hotel project management, as well as asset and partnership management. At Hardham Hotels, we invest in upscale focused service and extended stay hotel properties, mainly in Texas and other major urban markets. We are hotel owners, developers, investors, and asset managers persistent in our pursuit of successful ventures and passionate about our products. We provide nationally branded investment opportunities, including Hilton, Marriott, and Hyatt hotel franchises. Hardham Hotels strategically places the right product in the right location for the right customer. Get started with us today. Visit us online at www.hardhamhotels.com. Hardham Hotels, put your money where you sleep.
Hey, here we are at the Lone Star Sports Show on the Lone Star Sports Network, giving it to you like it is. Today's show is brought to you by FastModelSports.com. FastModelSports.com, located right there in Chicago, Illinois. Go look at FastModelSports.com and see how they are leading basketball into the 21st century through the vehicle of technology. NBA, NCAA, WNBA, both men and women's in college basketball and the things that they're doing. Analytics is doing it, and they're right in the middle of it. That's where we are. Technology is not only just in our everyday lives, but it's in sports very heavily, too. It's going to have a lot to do with some of the things that we're going to talk to and the guests that we have coming on in the second hour tonight when we speak with the sport people from Legacy School of Sports Sciences. Coming on, we were visiting about some of their curriculum and what they're doing and how they're preparing kids for that process. But let's get back to the nitty-gritty there. It's up there all going on right there in the horseshoe there at Ohio State. Everybody's pointing the finger at Urban Meyer. You look at, okay, what are the facts? The facts right now is that he's been suspended for 3 games. Only one of those games full-blown. The other 2 games he'll be allowed to prepare his team, practice with his team, go right up to the pregame, and then won't be allowed to coach the game. You stop and hear a lot of people talking about this, and the NCAA has not had one mumbling word to say about this. Not one mumbling word. They don't reach out and mess with this big-time football stuff because there's so much money involved, there's so much TV money, there's so many things involved. They already lost the bowl situation that pulled out, which is not operated like the NCAA tournament is. So with all of that taking place, I think the high-end Power 5 football showed them pretty much that we can function with or without the NCAA. So they don't bother them that much. And that's always kind of not disturbing but interesting. Not disturbing but interesting. But back to the situation there at Ohio State with what has transpired. One of the most interesting things was that Zach, the assistant coach that was there, that all of this stuff is all about, and everything that took place between his wife and the inability to function and the allegations of the abuse that took place in that marriage and how it had gone on for a period of time all the way to a level of physical abuse. It's just really, really interesting how it was tolerated. To me, the biggest liability on Urban Meyer is he chose to look the other way. I'm gonna give you some thoughts and ideas. We love to talk about, the good old boys club and how that operates and how that all that functions and works. And but let's talk about Zach Smith's lineage or who he's related to. Zach Smith's grandfather is Urban Meyer's biggest mentor. Well, I shouldn't say his biggest mentor. He's a strong mentor and someone he talks to and trusts, and gave him a lot of opportunity in the business at the same time. And the mere fact that Courtney Smith, who was obviously, I don't want to be like a lot of other people, not involved or not called her name out. She's the offended party on record here as Zach Smith's wife. But through all these years and who all knew this and who all knew that, in this climate, you are just about as wrong as the perpetrator or the one that's actually doing it if you know about it and you're in a position of power and you don't say anything or do anything about it. You could basically enabling it. You're enabling it by giving this. I know this boy was making 6-figure salary and was able to travel over the last, I think, 9 years from program to program with Urban Meyer. Was he traveling with Urban Meyer because he was not replaceable? Is that what it was? Or was it his relationship with Zach Smith's grandfather that allowed him to overlook things? Well, I know a lot of times, in this business, we develop relationships with people and look out for kids that are in the business, that have relationships because of the name or the political influence that some of their family may have. And I'm not totally against that into some level or another, but where I really have a problem is that when you start enabling a abuser, you say, well, how was Urban Meyer? To me, that's the biggest violation here. And maybe everybody agrees with me, maybe they don't agree with me. Some people say, oh, the fact that he lied or he did this or did that. But the biggest thing is that when you enable or perpetuate something, you're doing it. But like I said earlier, when I first opened up, we hold the kids to one level, players to one level, a standard. But then when we come around to these coaches and your Joe Paternos and these situations and what happened there with all of that and then in institutions, the big business of college football, we're able to overlook damaging that. We feel like we can find another wide receiver. We can find another cornerback. We can find another running back, but don't touch our golden goose that lays a golden egg, being something like Ohio State. And that was, to me, the real sad part about that whole process was that you sit here and go into deliberation for 12 hours, and you come back with a 3-game suspension. It's really not a 3-game suspension. When you're suspended from any other workplace, that means you have no interaction. You're not supposed to be on property. You're not in the office. There's no communication back and forth. This dude's going to be still coaching his team. He's still going to be in interaction with everything that's going on. And we know he has no problem with covering stuff up because he reached out to the IT guy and said, how do I go about erasing all these text messages out of my phone? Well, let me let you know, with technology forensics, you can pull all the skeletons out of all our closets, including my own closet, when you start to look at the situation of what is put on the plate or what is put out there from the perspective of things that have been done online. I tell kids all the time, think before you tweet, because once you put it out there, it can be screenshotted. And even when you delete it, it's not deleted. It goes somewhere. And that's the thing. We don't know enough about technology as common, regular, everyday users to know where it goes. Where do the deleted tweets go to? When we're involved in things that we're not proud of, or extramarital affairs, or cheating on our girlfriends and wives or boyfriends or husbands, and we go delete all the messages and delete all the stuff that transpired in between it. Where did it go? There's actually forensics that will pull that stuff out. The only guys that I know are the guys that throw the phone out there in the Trinity River somewhere. But I got news for you all. You can throw the phone in the Trinity River and it's still in the cloud. And so, we just don't do that. But the mere fact that he would go and solicit or reach out or do the research within his staff to find out how he could go about doing that, lets me know that, he's truly doesn't have a problem with covering things up. This is the same guy now. Here he is, Urban Meyer. And I don't know you, Coach, and I got a lot of good friends that are coaches, and I know it's not a perfect world that you have to live in with the NCAA and all the rules and what goes on. But don't throw rocks when you live in a glass house. You sitting there just the other day, I'm bad about that. A few months back, or maybe a couple of years back, Urban Meyer is the same guy that went on record and said that any Division I coach that's sitting around operating and functioning in the capacity of carrying multiple cell phones around should be fired on the spot. That's the same guy that made that quote. And now here he is sitting in this situation right here trying to delete texts and do this and do that. You might need to get you a burner phone so you can take a page out of some of the monsters and throw it in the river out there somewhere. But my point is that, let's be honest with ourselves. We're all human beings operating in a non-perfect society. Finger pointing and holier than thou type mentality, and looking at them and then turning around and feeling like you should be above the situation. And because you have won 91% of your games, and obviously Ohio State is at a win at all costs type mentality. Is this somewhere in those guys that would deliberate it for 12 hours? What can we do that will not hurt us during this period to maintain what we have going on? Everybody poses the question, but really, if this guy wasn't winning, would we be having this conversation right now? Would we be talking about he's still working, he's not fired, everything is still going in the same direction? Absolutely not. And we can say that. Are we right in saying that? Y'all know y'all waiting for me to pull a race card. This was a black head coach. Where would he be in the middle of all of that? We'll go just check the history and see what happens to brothers when they pull a stunt like this or get caught in any kind of situation, any kind of allegations or anything of this nature, what the whole deal is. But it shouldn't be a black or white thing, because first of all, it shouldn't be a black or white thing because you got to look at the right side of it. But this is even the bigger thing. We put all these requirements and we look at our kids and we expect them to do this and do that. I want to let you in on a secret. Kids do what you tell them to do and what you make them do for a certain period of time. When they start going into their teams, they start doing what they see you do. Because the same hustles and the same games and the same things that you do to beat the system, don't think that kid didn't recognize that. That kid knows that you lied. That kid knows that you did that. You're teaching them how to beat the system, and they're going to try to do it themselves. You say, well, how does that relate here? What signal is sent out to college athletes when they see something like this happen? Man, they let coach go, and he did this and did that, and he condoned this and condoned that, and he only got that. So that's what they're turning around. I mean, and that's the culture we're living in. You know, I got to hit you up there. What's the new name? Agent Orange? That's the new name for you up there? You know, I think a lot of the acceptance in our society, you know, I had a group of college kids to tell a head coach, man, y'all raising hell, what about this and that and the other? Man, the president did this and did this and did that, and nothing happened to him. That's the way kids rationalize things. They're kids. They're trying to shape and build their accountability system and learn and figure out things. So there's a responsibility as an adult, and then when you start to take a situation like this, there's a responsibility. So what's actually going out to the players at Ohio State, all the key players in the Big Ten, all the players in big-time college basketball, everybody's looking at it. It's all over the place. Social media, on every sports station. Google it, pumps right up. It's what's trending or what's going on. They're looking at how it's being handled. So they're going to turn around and say, man, you did this to him, man. Why you going to do me like this? You know, what's really up? But, hey, we come back. We're going to talk a little bit more because it's Basketball Thursday. So we got to give some attention to what's going on over there. Back in 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show right here on the Lone Star Sports Network. This particular segment was brought to you by Fast Small Sports, Fast Recruit. Go look at fastsmallsports.com and take a good solid look at Fast Recruit and see what they're about, one of the many products that Fast Small Sports offered. Right back with you in just a little bit. We're winding on in here. We're going to get into some basketball. We want to get past that. I'm going to try not to come back in on that. It is what it is, but let's learn from our mistakes. Back. Hey, here we are back here at the Lone Star Sports Show right here. All things sports, all things Texas. Lone Star Sports Network is giving you all the information and how it relates. How does the Ohio State situation relate to? We play football down here, and eventually we will be playing the Buckeyes. One of our programs, whether it's University of Texas, whether it's Baylor, whether it's Texas A&M Aggies, there's a real high percentage chance that we'll be in some type of a game, bowl game, against a program like this. But the real thing about it is that all this leaks into the world of when things happen in big-time sports. Texas is a part of big-time sports, a big representative in big-time sports, one of the number 1 and 2 type producers of big-time sports prospects. So that's the relationship to what actually goes on, in these situations, how it indirectly but affects the mentality and the culture and the environment in which we have to function and operate in. But you look at these things, and the whole thing is that because we live in a global, constant news feed type social media society, as much as we want to insulate ourselves and say we're all things sports, all things Texas, but things that are going on in the world influence how we do things and the mentality that our kids take. That's one of the things here on Basketball Thursday. We're going to go to a little bit more positive deal. Want to shoot a shout out to all the young men that have been nominated. I think there are about roughly 12 nominations in the Trey Athletes. Go take a look at treyathletes.org or Google it, and you'll find out more about what it's about. But we've had, I think, roughly about 12 young men in the class of 2020 and 2021 that have been nominated to have an opportunity to apply and be a part of the Trey Athlete Mentorship professional social development process of preparing student athletes for the next level, being the collegiate level. But I think that's a huge thing with our community. Kind of goes in line with what we're talking about. We all spend a lot of time talking about on the court, on the field type things, and with it being Basketball Thursday, there's plenty on the court stuff that we can talk about. We could be talking about what's going on in the NBA. We could be talking about what's going on in the preparation of NCAA. But we got plenty of time for that in the upcoming weeks that'll be coming along. I'll start visiting over at Region 14 and what's going on there. I got a few practices to go to, and they're all back in school. I got to go back out to UTA. Had a real good conversation with Snoop Johnson. They've just about got all their players in, with the exception of one international kid that should be in any day now. And excited about going to take a look at that practice. But here on Basketball Thursday, we're taking a little bit different angle on things. And we're looking at, what does the situation reflect? What does it kick off into our deal? We've got to turn around and find a positive way to combat all the negative things that are being sent to our student athletes, all the negative things that are being sent sometimes in a subliminal type, not really a direct type way, with things that they absorb from media entities when things like this go along. They think, well, winning is most important. Guys get in trouble, but if they're winning, there are no consequences. And so you're just setting up, you're perpetuating, or you're fueling the vicious cycle of the stuff happening over and over and over again. We always say it's always something in sports, and it's always something in society. Sometimes when you look at the criminal situation that goes on, you see a crime on the news, and then you turn around and you look at television. You can't separate the news from television. You go fiction from reality. So we wonder about these things and how we go about. So we have to do everything we can do to combat these situations, to create environments that are not conducive to negative behavior and destructive behavior or deteriorating type scenarios. And with sports having the influence that it has, sports should take a positive role in influencing what's going on in society. We need to start embracing, and we do it to a certain extent, but we need to be really more sold out to embracing our student athletes, to understanding how much power they have and how much influence they have, and how they have the ability to turn that to a positive direction. So that's one of the things that we're going to be doing tonight when we bring on both Reggie and Kerry Brown from Legacy School of Legacy School of Sports Sciences, which is a very interesting name. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Located just north of there, but to lay a little groundwork for what all is why it's such a need for this. And one of the things that you go visit Legacy, I guess it's just legacycmhs.org. .org. Go take a look and listen to some of those videos, and some of the things that we're going to disclose tonight when we talk about how big a business it is. You guys have heard me say that youth sports tourism is a $8 billion a year business, but sports is a $1 trillion a year business. And of that $1 trillion a year of the business is, most of them are closer to the Dak Prescott version of it than they are to the Rodgers situation with Aaron Rodgers end of things. We always look at the few big, huge contracts and think that players are getting a big part, but it's big business, and big business requires a lot of moving parts to allow it to function. But the problem that I really have is that we're not grooming young men, especially young men of color, to be a part of really. And I was talking to one of my buddies today who has an Ivy League son as part of his upbringing and preparation and going on and be successful as he's been in the last couple of years of being removed from an Ivy League degree and into the work world, is we do a terrible job of allowing our kids to see the full menu. I think overall, even bigger than sports, we don't give kids enough opportunity to understand what they can be. I know it was terrible when I was a kid growing up, and I think it's gotten a whole lot better. But, and I go back, I'm obviously doing what I do. I'm in sports. And I think that so many times, kids come along, they love sports, they love the game of basketball, and all they see themselves doing is playing, possibly coaching, or maybe I could be an agent. It's just a very shallow, select few things. So, if you don't have many options, then your opportunity to find your niche or be successful becomes narrowed down really, really at a high rate, And it's an old pie thing, We're fighting and looking at our one little sliver of pie. What about that other 90%? Who's that other 90% of the pie for? The other 80% of the pie for? Why don't we have action at that? And why don't we even know about it? Well, I got one thing to say, because there's two sides to every story. One problem I have with it is that the adults around, we don't have enough wherewithal in ourselves to educate our kids, to let them know that there is a bigger piece of pie. There are some more options in the situation. We only glamorize being a college coach. Being a college player or being a professional athlete or playing in the NBA or playing in the NFL. We glamorize those things, but we don't glamorize a kid going and moving into sports marketing or being a part of the accounting department for the Mavericks and moving on and having a great career. And that kid is never glamorized. We don't do anything. We don't even expose our kids to that being an option, being in a relationship. So we are selling ourselves and our community and our kids short on the process. I was talking to Ani the other day. Not actually today in the office, and we were visiting. I said, Ani, do you realize that if we changed our level of consciousness in the sports world, how much impact, how much we could galvanize and change things in a community? Because we know, in the famous words of Chris Walker, if you want to change something, change the money, and the lack of wealth in our community makes us subject to some bad choices, bad decisions. I was surprised. My 16-year-old daughter was doing a project last year, I guess maybe in spring semester, and was talking about the fact that the direct correlation between the lack of economic development in our communities and having poor grocery stores with poor groceries in it, and how all this. And I was just kind of blown away because the little girl just sitting here just rolling all these stats off about how we don't even get nourished properly because we don't have action at a lot of fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, green vegetables. We're cut off from those things, and we're cut off from those things because we live in this closed little vacuum of not really understanding and not being educated, and we're not, our lack of education and understanding is not because the information doesn't exist. We're not just posturing and putting ourselves in a position to educate ourselves. We're going after one little carrot. We're going to dip that carrot down in some butter and a little honey a little bit, put a little sugar on it, dangle it out in front of you all. Guess what? If they're dangling one carrot, only one person can get that one carrot. They're not showing us a whole field of carrots. They're not showing us the big opportunity. One of the reasons that I love some of the things that Oprah Winfrey's doing on the OWN network is that, a lot of her programming now is starting to just really expose all of our challenges and making us really just look right straight in the face at it, and all the stuff that we want to sweep under the rug. Let's look at it so we can fix some of these things and go at it head on. But, we're winding down another break, and I kind of bumped that one around a little bit, but good information still there. We come back from the break, we're going to be chiming in and bringing in Carrie Patterson Brown, former point guard at Texas A&M. Both her and her husband, Reggie Brown, are Aggies, and will be a part of the process they were part of the process and Carrie led the process, and Reggie supported her in building the school legacy, the School of Sports Sciences, which they have done a tremendous job. I mean, just the fact that it exists brings a level of consciousness to the community. And the weirdest thing is that in some kind of funny, warped way, we're so brainwashed, we're not even really that excited about it as a community. And we're going to let them come back and talk more about what this is all about. I'm going to ask some questions, and they're really smart people. Going to be able to give some things. And you're going to have a guy that played in the NFL for 12 years. Her husband, Reggie, is going to give his perspective on some of the things about how you come up as an athlete, how you go to a Power 5 school, how you get drafted into the NFL, how you make a whole lot of money, and then you still got life to live. What happens next? And he's going to talk about some of his things and perspective that he didn't understand at that time. We got to do it better. We can't do better if we don't know better. So right here on the Lone Star Sports Show, Lone Star Sports Network, we want to do our job of letting you know better. Give us an opportunity to do better. Back in 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show. We'll be visiting the rest of the day. Basketball Thursday, we're going to chime in and come back in on some things about fall events. Are they important or are they not? What Texas boys basketball is covering in fall events, what we're looking for, and what all is going on. Big E and that group have a big deal going on this weekend that we'll have our heads stuck in on. Right here at the Lone Star Sports Network on the Lone Star Sports Show, we'll be back in 180 seconds with more information to get you farther down the road and get a clear perspective on all things sports, all things Texas. Hey, here we are rolling back in here at the Lone Star Sports Show right here on the Lone Star Sports Network. All things sports, all things Texas. Giving it to you like it is with being sponsored and brought to you today by FastModelSports.com. Here it all is what's going on. I got a little bit ahead of myself in that last process there. I'm so excited, and you can tell us that the whole Legacy School of Sports Sciences is a passion and something I'm really, really feel like that our community and our state has been blessed with. But in actuality, I'm not supposed to be bringing them on until the next segment, 6:57. We initially talked about 6:42, that segment. Where right now, being Basketball Thursday, Anya and I got plenty of basketball to talk to. Ball never stops bouncing around here on that deal.
No,
But fall events, I can recall 15 plus years ago when I really got rolling all the way in this business, really heavy. The fall was kind of a laid-back time. I was still helping coach a little bit sometimes when they needed help with the situation. The fall league was pretty much with the high schools, roughly 6 to 8 high schools, would go to one high school and play games. And then, at that time we didn't have these big fall shootouts. And, so there's just a lot that has gone on and a lot that we have come to at this stage of the process of what all goes on. What are in your opinion, I'm kind of putting Anya on the spot a little bit, but he can stand a little getting put on the spot. In your opinion, Anya, what do you think the value of fall ball is for players?
Value, well, I would say having some type of chemistry with your team, with your teammates, especially before going into the regular season. Say that more so than anything, because I feel when you're playing as a team, it makes you look better as a player. And then when these college coaches are coming to see you, just.
Yeah, I mean, okay, we'll dive in and give it I'll give you a solid point. I totally agree when I thought about it. What is the value of it? It is developing some level of chemistry. I think the UIL probably wouldn't like me saying what I'm about to say right now, but I think it's really, really important when the high school coach actually takes his athletic period, prepares his players to see things a certain way, and then he comes out and sits down, doesn't coach his team. Right. I'm not accusing anybody of doing any coaching, but shows his presence, and he's able to monitor and watch. You can learn a whole lot about watching your own team. You can learn more about watching your own team sometimes than you can. That's why we watch so much tape. Than you can when you're just actually coaching them in the midst of the situation.
Yeah, you talk about tape, but you get a better feel when you're sitting right there. You get to watch them.
Right. Yeah. And always. I have to watch tape, and I've gotten better with tape over the years. But we haven't been a big film guy. Right. And some of my buddies, they swear by it, and I just always feel like I just not. And I've gotten better at it. It's always something that you can work on and improve on. I guess my overall judgment of levels and what level a kid can play at, sometimes watching tape, I feel like it gets a little. But I've learned some nuances and tricks that I feel like that make me better at that now than I was, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. But the point I'm getting at with the fall ball deal is when a coach comes out and sits on the other side, I even like some of the coaches that even kind of lose themselves in the crowd, and the players don't even know if they're watching them. And that's a great place to stand there and watch your team and watch somebody that's coaching. If you have a good relationship, I know probably about 13, 14 years ago, I coached one of David Peavy's teams down in Houston that had roughly about 6 or 7. Eric Moreland was on that team. No, Eric Moreland was not on that team. He was younger. But had 6 or 7 Division I players. Had a good program. Actually, I'll give you a good one. I want to say congratulations, Chris. I got to talk to you. I know you were up for the job at W.T. White, but he actually got the job. One of my former players is now the head coach at W.T. White High School, and we want to reach out and wish him all the best in that situation and what he's doing there. But he was on one of those teams that I coached in back with that group, and so it is an opportunity that would actually end up being a really good team, not just because they played fall ball, but I thought that it was so guard heavy. They learned how to play with each other, and a lot of really good players came out of it. Get another kid that's coaching now at the college level, Curtis Bourne, I think was his last name. Curtis was a tremendous human being. I think he's made the Hall of Fame at the junior college out at right outside of Fort Worth here in Region 5. Kid that battled against a lot of adversity and went on to get a good education, have a good college career. actually coaching college ball now, was on that team. DJ Augustine, everybody likes to talk about him because, he was a first-round draft pick. And was he 2 and done or 1 and done? 2 and done, I think.
I say 2 and done.
2 and done at University of Texas. And some good players on that team, that all went on to play at the college level. But back to the whole fall ball angle on everything is that, in fall ball, you do get a chance to gain that chemistry. You do get a chance to be seen in a different way. A lot of times we talk about exposure, and some of you guys have been in my camps or heard me speak before. It doesn't do any good to be able to play and nobody see you. It doesn't do good for everybody to see you and you can't play.
Right.
And so many times, kids and parents they want exposure. Then you go watch them play and they play terrible. They don't want that. They don't want you to say anything about that.
Well, they're not going to say they play terrible. They're going to point to a scapegoat.
Yeah, no, they know how to find. They know how to find their way. They're good at wiggling, but they can't wiggle away from old branch on stuff like that. Like my boy Snoop Johnson would say, "We trust my eyes."
Right.
I saw what I saw. You
Exactly.
come up with a lot of excuses, but I think it's a chance to address a lot of the excuses. I think it's an opportunity to kind of clean some things up. I don't know what's dinging around. I don't think I'm guilty of that.
I believe you are.
You believe I am?
Yes.
I thought I had everything timed down and turned. No, I don't look guilty according to all my devices. My devices and lied on me. It's whatever. I took care of watching. I don't know. Y'all might have to go back and check that one again. That might not be me.
That ain't me.
It's just, I get the finger point over. We'll talk about that more at the break when we get ready to come back and tighten things up. But this weekend going on. I don't know the official title of it, but my man is Big E is going to be having a high school event. You can go and take a look at the schedule at the Dallas Showtime app. I think is where the schedule is located. Is that where it is? There, you can verify that while I'm.
It's on the Dallas Showtime app. Back to school, best of best.
Back to school deal. Okay, so we'll be there. I know I'll be traveling a little bit, but I will come back in and get me some games lined out. It's Saturday and Sunday.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Well, that should be a pretty good outing during that time. That means I can be late and still not miss everything.
Right.
They're gonna be going that period of time. I just got it all located down. It don't take me long on this exposure website. I don't want to give them. Oh, that's got the woman. They gotta have some girls basketball going on.
Yeah, they got girls middle school and high school division.
I know Big E is a big time LeBron fan. So if you want to go see where the players are, you go to the LeBron.
His top league
is always the LeBron league. Yeah, and it's
Kevin.
It's an interesting angle that they're taking on this deal right here. It still has it. Did I go to the right deal? Yep.
I think you're right to it.
I hit that spot right there, so I got to be on the right deal. So they're still carrying all the summer team names. They're not carrying the high school names. No violation to carry a high school name.
Yeah, it's just summer teams.
That's really, really interesting how that's all lined up. That's going to take some research and what's going on. We'll see everything from West Texas Forest. I know who TRT Academy is. I know that's code for what that is. That's going to be the Spring Creek Academy up north. Have no idea what Arlington Rise, Dallas Showtime might be Kimball, various Kimball teams that be involved in that. DJH5 as a team. Firm is probably going to be O.D. Watts group, right? All makes sense. So it's funny that it's the first time that I've ever noticed that they retain summer grassroots ball names in the course of going into
Scholastic season.
Well, it's a scholastic event.
Right.
All the kids are playing with their teams, And
is it a scholastic event? I thought it was a.
You think it's a grassroots event?
Yeah, I think it's a club event. Yeah, grassroots event.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, you look at the teams, Coach.
I see the team names, but you tell me the guys will be playing the event, so this is going to be a full-blown grassroots event.
Yep.
Wow. Forgive me for not doing my research. Big E, my guy, but you didn't tell me that's what was going on. I thought for sure we were okay.
I thought it was a school event when I first.
Yeah,
but
look at the team names, and you're not retaining your team names. So
but
you're basically going to bring your grassroots teams back in and go for one more round of grassroots basketball.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'll be by and come take a look and see what it is. One thing it's going to be, in the famous words of Sonny Vaccaro, there's going to be players there. As long as the players there, you're going to have my attention. Because I know there are good players involved in all these programs. And I thought more, and it kind of goes around to the fall ball. It's technically not fall yet. And I thought in actuality that's what we were looking at there. And I was misinformed. And I started to call Big E and visit with him about this deal. But I just kind of assumed, and, you know, being a friend of the program and what they were doing, I was going out, which I still would be there. I'd just be looking in a little bit different context than I thought I was going to be looking
Right.
Oh, boy, this is getting interesting. Boy, this basketball, never, whatever. You know, there's interesting things coming down the pipe, and none that we got prepared to discuss in detail about everything that's going on. But this whole NCAA thing, the lawsuits are lining up. Let's put it that way. There's been some situations, some class action situation. So you got people looking for multiple deals, or people have called me. I've received emails asking questions and thoughts, and there's some legitimate perspectives on all of this stuff, of what's going to be going on. But meanwhile, you know, while I think all this has a place, but in reality, we have got to do a good job of preparing our kids on a well-rounded situation. When we come back from the break, we're going to be visiting with Reggie and Kerry Patterson Brown, to talk about the Legacy School of Sports Sciences. Hey, here we all roll it back in. The Lone Star Sports Show on the Lone Star Sports Network. Today's show was brought to you by FastMallSports.com. FastMallSports.com, located in Chicago, Illinois, leading basketball into the 21st century through the vehicle of technology. various forms. Go take a look at FastSmallSports.com and see how Ross Comerford, founder and CEO, has done the job he's done of what he does with the NBA and what he does with WNBA, and also all the products that he provides for NCAA Division I coaches on the men and women's side, and even looking at something like the product like Playbank and what they do for all coaches, even at the high school level. But right now, I could never be more excited, prouder, happier than to have Carrie Patterson Brown. I can say former this and great that, but right now it's all about Legacy School of Sports Sciences. Carrie, are you there with us?
Yes. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh no, it's a pleasure. It is really, really exciting about it. Carrie, you're a Houston native, graduated from Aldine High School. Would that be correct?
No, from Jack Yates High School. I was my client.
Yeah, you Yates High School in 90 what?
95.
95. Okay, you might be. Oh, I can't say that. You're a lady. If you were one of the guys, I'd tease you. But I don't know where I got that Aldine stuck in my head like that. But Jack Yates.
Yeah, I don't know where you got that from either.
Yeah, I know how you Yates Lions are. They be holding on to it. They got folks from class of '57 still talking
exactly.
about it.
Yes, we are proud.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. I know where the name Legacy came from now.
Yeah, exactly.
No, those people hang on over there good. But no, young lady, I'm extremely, extremely proud of what you've done. I mean, I can't think of another former athlete that has done anything any greater with all that LeBron does and all that he's given and all he's done. This ranks right up there with all the things that he's been providing. And to go in to tap into the deal, and you folks need to go and look at legacycmhc.org. Is that correct, Coach? I still want to call you Coach, but I know you're the principal now. So we have to call you Miss Patterson Brown. But
so thank you.
That is the correct website, right?
Yes, the legacycmhs.org, that's our website.
Yeah, there's some good stuff on there. Really, really does a good job of conveying all the things that you guys are involved in and what you have to offer. Tell us a little bit about from 1995 until we got here, about yourself.
1995 is when I graduated from Jack Yates, and I received an athletic scholarship at Texas A&M University.
Okay.
From there, really through that whole process, I was able to learn what recruiting was, and being an athlete from the city of Houston, I had the opportunity to be recruited by a lot of, well-known schools. So it was a cool process. I'm glad that I'm blessed to have had that opportunity. And then the school that I chose is A&M. And from there, I was a women's basketball player. I was a starting point guard for 3 years, and had the opportunity to really kind of learn more about myself at A&M, for more than just being an athlete. He was my boyfriend at the time, so I met my husband. He was a senior when I was a freshman. He played football for A&M and was drafted my sophomore year. Well, going into my sophomore year, he was drafted by the Detroit Lions. So I had an opportunity to witness that, being a player, but then also seeing someone going to the professional ranks. Was able to realize that, what the next level looked like, dealing with my boyfriend at the time. So then after that, I graduated from A&M and then became one of the assistant coaches for the women's basketball team. I was fortunate enough to have, there was a spot that was available, and they brought me on as one of the assistants. I did that for 3 seasons and then left from there and became a women's basketball coach at Houston Tulsa University. It's a small university.
In Austin, right there in East Austin.
Texas. Yeah.
Play a lot of pickup games in that gym. Go ahead.
Exactly. Yeah, me too. So, so after that, while I did that, I was also a 9th grade English teacher in Austin Independent School District. So I was able to see the difference of I was able to learn how student athletes worked. So that was really cool because it really gave me a different perspective. I mean, I found that student athletes, they're not special. They're just different, right? So that goes along with any person that has a particular, it's a trade, something that you're interested in pursuing. You're not special, you're just different. So you have a lot of different qualities that need to be reached to make you the best that you can possibly be. So I learned that as an educator, but also all while I was still coaching at Houston Television.
Okay, so you actually were a high school English teacher and then went over in the evenings or afternoons and coached the NAIA women's team.
Exactly. Yep, okay. Morning and afternoons. So we NAIA, they generally don't pay you much, so I had to
supplement your income. Right.
So that's a nice way of saying it. I had to bring some money home. So I was an English teacher, and then I was also a literacy coach, and then after that, I was an instructional coach. So you didn't have an NFL husband then? Yeah, but I still had to hold my own. I don't. No, I did. I mean, I thought that was important to be able to. I mean, I had value. There was things that I did that I wanted to be able to learn from, be able to do for my family. So I know that Reggie it was good, but I still wanted to be able to bring my own home.
I'm really trying to make a point to the audience. I know where you're coming from. I just want to make a point to some people that are listening right now, and just kind of comes down to the Miss Carrie Patterson Brown that I have so much respect for, and I try to avoid calling a young lady. I can remember over the years here and there seeing that she was just always this energetic young lady that. And I don't want to call you a little girl because, I mean, you got your oldest son is what, about 14, 15 now?
Yeah. Well, my oldest is 17.
Okay. Oh, man. What time flies.
Yeah. I know. My oldest is 17. My youngest is 11.
Yeah. And when you look at you on the picture there, you still look like you about 17, 18 yourself.
Appreciate it.
Good genes. We'll give it all credit there. But getting back on the track, so you're there. You're there teaching English and head coach at an NAIA school basketball team. That's a lot. Those have to be at least 14, 15-hour days. That's about right?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough, but basketball is my passion, so I love it. Like if I could coach now, I would. And I actually still play on Sundays in a league at Justin Robinson. So it's something that I
enjoy. Is that right? Wow.
Yeah, it's fun. But then I also knew that obviously there was something else that God wanted me to be able to do. So he provided me with a lot of different experiences. From the educational sector and then also from the athletic piece. So when I left Houston Tillerson, I came back home to Houston and I began working on my doctorate at Texas Southern University. Okay. And was coaching there for a year. And then after that, I worked at San Jack. As an assistant coach there, too. And then also, while I was doing that, I was an adjunct instructor. So I had the opportunity to really do a lot of different things in education and in athletics that warranted me the experience to be able to say, yeah, there is a need for a campus like Legacy. So I think with Reggie's incident and my different experiences, I was able to say that, yeah, we should move forward. So that's really kind of how Legacy came to fruition.
Okay. At what point do you think that you actually conceive the concept was really clear in your head, or at what point did it? I think that you've always been a part of wanting to do what it is or affect the athletes and basketball and the academics and overall social and grooming of student athletes. I think that probably started early. That's why you ended up coaching and teaching. But what point did you actually see this campus that's before you now? I mean, when did this actually show up? I'm sitting here looking at the floor plan and the actual plans. I know when you first started talking to me, and I don't even know, came over and I kind of remembered you a little bit. And I saw you and said, boy, this young lady sure has a lot of energy. And, he had a couple of old folks with you that was supporting and following you, and that was really, really important. One of we'll talk about that in a second, too. One of your college coaches is now on staff there. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, really nice lady. I did a little research on her and got some really, really great things back from some people that I have a lot of respect for. And but at what point did this actually, did you see? I mean, the name Legacy. There's actually could be a school, and you had a passion for the process and what you're doing. But when did this get born in your head as being Legacy?
It was the third year. So we've been working to open Legacy for 7 years. And this is our 7th year. So my third year in, it was funny because I was talking to a guy out of, I forgot where he was. It was the organization that I was trying to sell Legacy to. Mm-hmm. But the way I explained it to him, it was interesting to hear him explain it back to me. He said, "Oh, so you want to open a school that focuses on these 3 things?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like that's, he said it back to me, and that's when it kind of hit. Like, that's perfect. Like I didn't even know I was saying it like that, so I was saying academics, athletics, and professional, and then I broke down each one of those sections, and it really kind of came together. Like this is real. Like we could really do this. So. I think that's when it really kind of came to where I was like, okay, Carrie, keep going. I mean, go hard. Because even though it was a lot of doors that were closed, it was still something there. Well, obviously, it was God that was providing.
The closed doors just guide you toward the appropriate right doors. Right.
Oh, no, I'm not told to do that. There was a reason why. I mean, God closed doors for a reason.
Right.
I mean, I felt like at the beginning, we tried to open other charter organizations, the school districts, at churches. We had a lot of different places where we tried to open the school, but it wasn't the right place. God didn't want that. Like I felt like He wanted something bigger and better, and He wanted us to have our own.
And that's exactly what we're looking at here, Legacy. And we have this thing here every 12 minutes. We go out and give some attention to some people that give attention to us on a regular basis. Well, we're going to come back with more Carrie Patterson-Brown and the Legacy School of Sports Sciences right here at the Lonestar Sports Show on the Lonestar Sports Network, where we're all things sports, all things Texas. We're right there on Facebook Live, and obviously we're at the Lonestar Sports Network on YouTube. That's the beautiful thing about this is that this interview and this interaction here will live for a long period of time there on the Lonestar Sports Network, and hopefully will continuously propel the growth of what's going on at the Legacy School of Sports Sciences. But we come back in about 180 seconds with more Lonestar Sports Show, talking about the Legacy School of Sports Sciences located in Spring, Texas. We have Miss Carrie Patterson-Brown spending her time and showing us and telling us about how her dream has come true. Be back in 180 seconds with more Lonestar Sports Show. This particular segment was brought to you by Hartem Hotels. Hartem Hotels located right there in the Bayou City. Go take a look at HartemHotels.com and see why you should put your money where you sleep. Back with more Carrie Patterson-Brown. Hey, we're back here at the Lonestar Sports Show on the Lonestar Sports Network. We're extremely excited and happy to have Carrie Patterson-Brown with us today talking about the Legacy School of Sports Sciences. In the interest of time, we're going to jump right in. I could sit here and talk about your story for 2 hours, but unfortunately, you don't have enough time to stay with us that long. So I want to make sure I get all of this in because I think this is a huge opportunity. We're going to try to do a lot through social media and driving people to this show to go and take a look at it. And I don't know, we work hard enough and we do a good enough job right here. You're already about to shatter your 550 projection. How many more kids could you take?
About 25, 30 more kids. We're a 64th grade campus, so we're opening 6 to 11. So we're looking to really fill all of those classrooms, and then after that, we're just going to bring in a proper 6th graders each year. Okay. So we really want to focus on that grassroots portion, so we can make sure that we are developing all the kids the legacy way. But this year we had to. We reached out to different organizations and teams that we felt were providing great opportunities for kids, and we wanted to continue that on the academic round.
You said something that was very interesting there, the legacy way. In a 15, 20-second spiel, tell me what the legacy way is. How do you envision? What does that look like?
Well, the legacy way is truly to provide empowerment to kids, meaning we have one standard on our campus, and that one standard is excellence. And we really are into making sure that the kids are realizing that, life is all about decisions. You can do anything you want to do, but you have to put in the work to make that happen. And that goes both ways, right? I mean, a lot of times people don't realize that when sometimes things don't go the way that you anticipated, it's because you didn't work for it to go that way that you anticipated. Right? A lot of kids don't get that. Adults do, but a lot of kids don't get that. So we believe in our kids working hard, and understanding that nothing's going to be given to you, but we are going to provide you with the tools so you can be successful. So then you have to take advantage of the tools that are put in front of you. So there's a lot of different things that we talk to the kids about on a daily. So we're expecting them to have high standards, to have their own sense of excellence, and then we're expecting for them to take our development, because we're looking to influence and develop them on a regular basis. So.
That's really, really, really good. And I'm going to go fast because I want to get all this good stuff out here. And you guys really need to visit the website and spend a little time looking there. Now, it's obvious, and I was a part, there's a NCAA 48H in place. So that basically means that the academic curriculum there has been approved by the NCAA. So there's no chances of a kid going there and playing and have a chance to play at the next level and not being NCAA eligible because there's any kind of academic deficiencies, which goes back to Mrs. Patterson-Brown's projection of pursuit of excellence. So we know that tells us real fast in the interest of time that the English is on par, the math is on par, the science is on par, and the history is on par. You got your foreign languages there. All of your basics are there. Now let's talk about the fact of these specific areas that they're going to have a chance to be exposed to, or even maybe in some kind of a way, and you can help me with this, maybe even toward as they develop an affinity or liking to, they may have a chance to focus in athletic administration, coaching, sports media, sports medicine. I don't see the business up there. Maybe that falls into the athletic administration. Elaborate. We know the basics are in place, so I don't want to burn a lot of time there. It's NCAA certified place. Everything's in place. TEA is in tight. So there's nothing questionable about the foundation. The special part that we want to look at here, and like it says, Legacy School of Sports Science is a accredited state chartered school from the state of Texas. Being a TEA, everything is tight there. Let's talk about that extra mile, that extra opportunity to be exposed to the full menu of opportunity, which is what I feel like you guys are doing, Carrie, is that you're exposing kids to a bigger picture of options and opportunity. Would you agree with that? And tell me a little bit about it.
Totally. We like to explain to our kids that, number one, that they are part of a $1.5 trillion industry. And sports is the fifth largest industry globally. And we tell them that if you play the game, then you are part of it, and you need to know about what you're a part of. So we do have those 4 programs on campus, which are coaching, athletic administration, sports medicine, and sports media. One of those programs, we paired them up with industry experts. So we're bringing people in on our campus that can talk to kids about what it looks like to become a general manager of a large sports organization. And to put that junior GM program. Mm-hmm. We have St. Luke's that we're working with that's going to help create our program called White Jacket. Okay, we're working very close with Fight Magazine, and they're going to help us with our athletic administration program. So we have all these different organizations that we are bringing in so we can teach our kids that they need to be more than a player. Mm-hmm. I mean, we believe that the ball will one day stop bouncing. Mm-hmm. When that happens, what's your next play? What are your plans? Mm-hmm. So we're always trying to prepare them and be a step ahead and prepare them for their future. Because it's not our future that we're living in our present. Right. But we have to make sure that we prepare them for their future.
No, totally agree with that. It's a big part of it, and I was sharing with my assistant Ani today, is that if we had a legacy school of sports science in every major city in the state of Texas, every major city in the country, with the number of Division I athletes and NBA and NFL players and WNBA players that are produced and Olympic track people, if all of these people, I'm gonna ask this question to you, if all of these people were being exposed to these things, if Kerry, how much of a difference would it have been in Kerry Patterson Brown's life or perspective or understanding if you would have been exposed to these things at 12 years old as you became the great player that you were and leading Texas A&M as a 3-year starter at the point guard position? What do you think athletes would get out of this? How much more prepared would they be for when the ball starts bouncing? And what kind of community, social, economic impact would it potentially have on our community?
Huge. I think because what ends up happening a lot of times and I see this with the male side, we don't think about it being over. The males don't think about it being over until it's over, right? Mm-hmm. And that's too great. I mean, if you are in a position where you do get to play until you're 30 years old, mm-hmm. then when you do transition out, you are literally a rookie again in some industry, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. Unless you're that guy or yes, you're that girl that gets the chance to go speak on to be in the media. Mm-hmm. So it's very rare for that even to happen, to have that opportunity to play until you're 30. Mm-hmm. So we're really trying to expose kids to the other opportunities that are within the sport that allow you to still remain in the sport, right? I mean, we like to tell families all the time that there are a lot of careers between you getting out your car to seeing a person on the field.
No doubt.
So we want to capitalize off on that. We want our kids to be knowledgeable of the decisions that they're making. I mean, that's like thinking about signing a contract. So if there's a kid that signs a contract, we've had an attorney come in and told us that there's a big difference between an and a comma. Mm-hmm. Well, if I've never seen that before and I don't know the difference, then I can get myself caught up in a situation that could be life changing, as opposed to caught up in a situation that could be life changing. You know what I mean? Like something it's
the ability to interpret for themselves, right? I totally get where you're coming from. And
so we have to provide that opportunity.
Yeah, I like I said, I repeat over and over again, a little bit redundant, but if you're tired of me hearing me say it, I'm going to say it again. I'm so excited for this because Kerry, this is one of the things that I've always has been the most important angle. I mean, obviously I love the game of basketball. I'm a basketball scout. That's what I do. I watch games. I write scouting reports. I write evaluations, and I work for Division I coaches. That is my day job. And that's how I pay my bills, and that's cool and everything. I operate NCAA certified events. That's all cool. But my passion has always been the fact that, and I guess as a student athlete and growing up myself, it was such a shock at 26, 27, 28 years old how much opportunity actually exists in the world. And I guess in some weird way, I've always wanted to aid, help, and support and giving back. When I first came in the grassroots basketball, it was to give back for that general purpose. And to see you doing this, I mean, that's why I'm so big a support. Obviously, you're part of TCAL, 6A. You got PJ Cousinart, another young man I'm extremely proud of as your head basketball coach. and there, I mean, and all the things that you guys are doing. But as we wind down, in the last 2 minutes of this segment, it's Carrie Patterson Brown and the Legacy School of Sports Science, and obviously her husband Reggie Brown in support, have married together and to me provide something for student athletes that just doesn't exist anywhere else. We try to do it here and there, a little mentorship here and a little mentorship there, but we're talking about a curriculum, a day in, day out exposure to the full menu. And that's what we're getting from you, Carrie. I'm so excited and so appreciative that you would dedicate your career and your life, because a young lady as smart as you are and is tenacious. She's a tough little hard playing point guard that can keep on coming at you, and that's the way she is kind of now, even moving on to her lifestyle. But the fact that you have dedicated this to being such a positive impact and influence. So we want to do everything that we can help. We want to grab some of those sports media people and see if they can make us a little smarter and a little bit more prepared in what we're doing right here at the Lonestar Sports Network, but want to be totally a part of everything you're doing. You got 30 more seconds. Is there anything that you like to add? Anything you think we missed in this process?
I just want to remind everybody that our website is legacycmhs.org. Mm-hmm. And really, if you're interested, then reach out to us. And we're looking for kids that know their pathway, and that's either being a player itself or just in the industry. Wanting to learn more about the industry. Mm-hmm. And we tell our kids right now that we have serious fun. Mm-hmm. But that serious is real. Mm-hmm. That's what, we're not here to play around. We're not joking. Mm-hmm. Everyone on our campus has a purpose. So we want to try to put that in people beforehand. When they knock on our door, they know that we're very purposeful with our actions.
About your business.
Yes, and we're very serious with the direction that we want our kids to go in. So
and that is who Carrie Patterson-Brown is. What she just told you about the sincerity and pursuit, the ability to come and give 110% every single day and be about what it is that you want to pursue in life. And they're at Legacy School of Sports Sciences, and their staff, which I know 2 or 3 people that are very tenacious and knowledgeable people that are leading that process, is a huge opportunity for our community and for our kids. We'll continue to support y'all. Glad to have you at TCAL 6A. Come check them out at MLK Classic there to be in Houston during that time. They may be playing in one of the best leagues in the state of Texas, and potentially going to be one of the best leagues in the country. Carrie, thank you so much for coming on, sweetie.
Thank you.
You're great. So I mean, I know you get tired and there's some long days, but I appreciate you giving us that 24 minutes. And
no, thank you for having me. I appreciate it so much.
Be in touch soon. Take care now. Have a good evening.
All right.
Hey, we'll be back with 180 seconds with more Lonestar Sports Show right here on the Lonestar Sports Network with Carrie Patterson Brown right there at Legacy School of Sports Science. We come back, we're going to talk some more about Fall League. We're going to talk some more about fall basketball and everything that's going on. We'll see you in 120 seconds probably by now with more Lonestar Sports Show.
5 seconds whenever you're ready.
Hey, here we are back at the Lonestar Sports Show, giving it to you like it is, all things sports, all things Texas. Today's show is brought to you by FastBallSports.com. FastBallSports.com, located in Chicago, Illinois, right there on Michigan Avenue. Haven't had a chance to see the new office that they have there, but you know it's really a kind of a what do I want to call it? What's it, Jobs, Apple type world when you go in there. Like there's tons of MacBooks going 100 miles an hour, big, huge Apple monitors, and you know it's always interesting to see the programmers, and then to have the opportunity to sometimes go in and stand before the programmers and have them ask you questions, and you sitting there. I think the thing that just blew me away was I guess when you raised up in Ernestine Branch's household, writing on the wall is a no-no. So you go there, and they have the walls that have been painted. You might get that one of these days, honey, because a lot of times we like to write on the wall. It might be cheaper than one of those big, huge dry erase boards. Get us a white wall, get a white on the wall. But they actually have the walls painted in a way, and I didn't, due to my ignorance and not knowing, that's pretty common now in places where software development type deals, where they just walk down the hallway and start having a conversation, and then just start writing on the wall. And that was one of the interesting things to see there and what they're doing, and it just opens up a whole lot of really creative thinking paths and when you're doing things, and to be in that kind of environment. And then once again, you know, maybe today is like career day or something in Lonestar Sports Show for the kids. You know, and I know a lot of kids probably not going to see that, more adult people will listen, but it's the adults' responsibility to convey these ways of thinking, these avenues, and these opportunities to the kids. Because I know how majority of my listeners, I shouldn't say the majority, but a large percentage of my listeners have student athletes. And they listen so they can come on here and try to figure out what can I do to help my student athlete. When you look at stuff like triathletes, you look at stuff like Legacy School for Sports Sciences, you know what I mean? It's just huge that we're not a part of it. We're just getting this fraction of just playing and coaching, and which is it's just a little that same piece of pie we were talking about earlier when we were here at some point earlier tonight. We were just looking at the wrong part of the puzzle. I wanted to reach out, and I think I may have said something earlier. We did something on social media, and say congratulations to the first 12 triathletes that have been nominated to participate in that program there. If you want to know more about that, triathletes.org. We'll be having them on at some point in time. They may actually come in the studio or whatever, but two young people there. But if you go to triathletes.org and take a look, you can learn a whole lot there. You're probably learning faster there than I can give it to you. But these are the things that we are going to have to do to impact our community. It's one thing I like. In lady life, you know, she does a lot of things around here, but she doesn't realize that one thing that she probably does that she didn't even get paid for around here is she brings a certain level of social, I don't want to say social economic, but social political awareness and where we are as a community and what the reality of it is. And I in turn try to give back over to her the role that sports can and should be playing in this, and how we're doing such a lousy job of empowering our athletes. You know, that's one thing, you know, everybody say, well, Brent, you won't say that LeBron James is the GOAT. And, you know, LeBron James may not be Alan Branch's GOAT on the court, even though he's one of the 4 or 5 best right here on Basketball Thursday, I think. A lot of people say second or whatever. That's really beside the point right now. The thing I appreciate about LeBron James, seeing when he was 13 or 14 years old, that he's grown into a young man that understands some of the things that we're talking about and the power that we have to give back. Just like Kerry Patterson Brown was saying, stop and think about it. $1 trillion? When you stop and think about it, I tell Honey this all the time. Youth sports tourism, again, an $8 billion a year business. Basketball represents roughly 3.3 of those $1 billion. How much opportunity is there in a market of that size? But the problem is, if all you're looking at doing is playing and coaching, you're not even chipping at the iceberg. And I think the huge thing is in technology right now. You know, you stop and you look at everything that synergy. I mean, so many companies out there. You got companies like Eat Play that have a chance to be involved. It was just platform after platform after platform that's being utilized in sports, and then then you turn around and say, okay, what's going on in sports slash, I don't know if I'll call it sports entertainment or what's the appropriate thing, but all the media platforms that actually go about allowing these millions of people that enjoy sports and need to utilize it in some form or fashion, how that's being operated, how that functions. I mean, what if you become a specialist from a software development standpoint, and I actually have a very interesting meeting coming up on that, become a specialist in software development related to sports. What if it in turn turns that way, so you already understand the nature of how the game is played and what's expected, but then in turn you become enough of an IT person and develop the skill set to do that. How much value is it in that person? And I know it's a lot of value because I got people emailing me that don't even know me, asking me to be a part of their stuff, just because they're trying to utilize the access to the industry. They're very good with computers, but they don't know the difference in a ball screen and a full court press. So their whole deal is they're just kind of left in the dark in the process. So they're trying to access the energy, the industry, and the deal is that we have access to the industry, but we're too closed-minded and got too many blinders on. So therefore, we're suffering as a community and not getting our fair share. Maybe do I sound a little militant there, Lady Life? I don't know. If I sounded a little militant, I got it from Lady Life. I'm talking crazy like that. So that's the whole deal with all sincerity is reality of the fact that the ball is going to stop bouncing. There's so many things that you do greater things. So I really admire and shout out to LeBron, man, for all the things he's doing of giving back. And the things we talked about Aretha Franklin losing the other day, and the social stances that she took. We always have to give it out to the Godfather, Jim Brown, and what he's been able to do. And we have a responsibility, whether you choose to own up to it or not. But we got a responsibility in this process. If not, we're going to continuously. And I urge a lot of people to go out and read the book $40 Million Slave. You hear the word slave, everybody gets all goofy and uncomfortable when you start talking about, speaking in the context of slavery, because it was such a travesty here in the United States and the continent of America, or what transpired through slavery. But the reality of it is you need to go look at what it's really all about. And if we don't open up our minds, we will continue to be restricted in some form or fashion to having a full look. And even if you don't give me a slice of the pie, what about not ever even get the chance to see the pie? You can't want something. This is the problem. You can't want something that you don't even know exists. And that's where we're stuck in this whole deal, is that we can't aspire. Our kids can't dream about things that they don't even know that exist. I remember being a incoming freshman at the University of Texas with Michael Dale. Michael Dale was on a page that we didn't even know existed. And therefore, you got Dell computers. So, I mean, the point is, and I used to have an auntie who say exposure is the greatest thing that we can give our kids. Exposure, it stimulates desire. It stimulates want. You can't want anything that you've never seen. Hold these kids in these gyms, on these courts, in these practices, in these workouts, and then never allow them to see it. There's nothing wrong with becoming a great basketball player, because it does give you access and attention for a reasonable amount of time. But if you don't get a chance to utilize that access and the attention that you're getting for a better purpose, or a bigger purpose, I should say, then that's where we're missing the mark. That's when the $40 million slave becomes a real legitimate angle on things. So we got to educate ourselves. I know it sounds like militant Thursday instead of basketball Thursday, but I'm just throwing it out there. I'm here to educate. I want parents to understand. That's why when I'm speaking to Cowboys, that came off of Cream of the Crowd Camp. I thought that the parents and people there about the NCAA prepare. I think it's better. I think the time of being just a good basketball player, being ignorant of whatever else is going on around you, those days are getting slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. You're going to continuously be a victim. You're going to continuously be used and misused as long as you continuously stay in the mindset of, because I can put a ball in a hoop, I can get a ball across a goal line, or any of those things. then you're going to miss it, you know. And yeah, is there going to be a few fraction of a percent that are going to make so much money until it doesn't matter how ignorant they are to what's going on, they can live off of their money? Yeah. What about the other 99 point some odd percent of people that are not going to make that much money but have access to the opportunity that they have actually through the vehicle of sports? Folks, we got to do better. There's got to be some accountability in doing better. So I took that little segment that wasn't even on the run sheet, went on my little militant rant of trying to reach out to get people to wake up. We want this to live in a deal, you know, from everything I understand, you know, YouTube sits there, and hopefully my staff and production team will do a good job of putting the right words in place that will allow, you know, when people Google stuff, they'll come up with going back and feed into some of the information and going on there. And then in the process, the same thing we want to do with trade athletes when we bring them around, because we want to drive people toward it. And here's the thing, as they get ready to speed me off the break here, even if you don't go, this is my big deal right here. We're going to come back and talk some basketball on Basketball Thursday. But even if you don't go to the legacy school of sports sciences, even if you don't get nominated for trade athletes and get to participate in that, bringing a sense of consciousness to our community will enable us to do a better job of mentoring and guiding these young people in a way that's going to have an opportunity long after I'm gone. I don't have much more time in all this process, but long after I'm gone, there's going to be an opportunity to influence what goes on in our community, educating our kids and causing a transformation. We want things to look different. We want to be a bigger piece of the pie. We want to be a more at the table. We want to be what's going on, whether it's political or economical or social in our community. We want to have influence on it. Then you got to get in and be a part of the big picture. You got to see the whole picture. We'll be back in 180 seconds to conclude our last segment right here on the Lonestar Sports Show on the Lonestar Sports Network. That crazy segment right there was given to you right here by Harlem Hotels. Go look at HarlemHotels.com. Another way to go educate yourself and see how you can put your money where you sleep. Harlem Hotels right there in the Bayou City. Go take a look and dive all the way into it. You can even listen to us at the Final Four where we were interviewing the founder and director of Harlem Hotels, the CEO of Harlem Hotels, in that process there. Another way for us to broaden our process. Back in 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show. I can sit here and do the Malcolm X all night. I feel like I could just sit here and do the Malcolm X all night. They warmed up.
They feeling good. How's he feeling good?
Feeling good about trying to get
line up, yeah.
Yeah. Just crazy. Some of the shit I don't even want to say because that sound real, they sound racist or something.
No, it's
I ain't too harsh on my lady. They like my filter.
You're saying the right thing. You're saying.
Sitting around without a porter, there's another porter there. Where you want to come back and get here this last segment?
We can go fall events that we're going to cover. I know we kind of hit on the value of fall sports. We can go back on fall sports we want to cover. You can hit on.
We'll talk about the chemistry, all the team advantage. Doing those things, getting in sync. I'll come in and kind of line up when players have a ability to find their roles. Now they have
1 minute.
Expose themselves a whole lot. The exposure that they're going to gain from scouting services and college coaches watching them play, finding your role. So we're going to talk a little bit about finding your role with your high school team and accepting your role with your high school team.
And the importance of doing that.
Yeah, and the value in doing that.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we'll come back and hit it like that. So what are we going to cover?
Elite 14, Gasso.
October Lone Star.
Yeah, we got one.
Lone Star JUCO Prep Showcase.
Right.
We'll get some things there.
About 25 seconds. Scout Focus.
Scout Focus camps, the camps to go to. You got the deal coming up.
10 seconds. 5.
Hey, here we are back here at the Lone Star Sports Show. My main man, Stu Johnson, like to say we down to the wind down deal. Or maybe it was Alan Branson like to say we're in the red zone. We're in the paint. we're down to the nitty gritty of it, so we want to leave you with some quality stuff. I think it's been a decent amount of information that's been conveyed today, and some perspectives and thoughts on things right here at the Lonestar Sports Show. But we would come back in, chime back in on a piece that we left on this fall events. When I first started in this business a lot of years ago, I won't take myself too hard here, it was a long time ago. When we got done with Vegas, roughly around the 28th or 29th of July, we really didn't do anything until late September.
Oh, really?
Yeah, play golf. The only thing you were doing was filling some phone calls, doing a little article stuff, a little media type stuff. We weren't dealing with the same level of social media, so it was quieter. And I remember the first step into the process came, when some of the colleges, I think it was Bud Williams, there at Marquette at the time, started having elite camps during August. That's the time nobody else is doing, so we can get them then. And then we started having cream of the crop during that time. So all these things started popping up. Then the number of people that were doing the fall event, originally it was, most of your fall events were run by small, tight high school, 16, 18 team league, 6 to 18 leagues. They were all in the vicinity of one another, and they played every Wednesday night. They played every Tuesday night. I go in and watch those, and even been guilty of coaching some of those back in my earlier days. And that was pretty much it. And then we started having the fall shootouts, which actually used to go on to some degree, and the history of that goes all the way back to Mike Kunstad before grassroots basketball was huge. People don't realize Mike didn't get his start in grassroots basketball. Mike started with the high school leagues and raised them up to a higher level. Because for a long time there was no grassroots basketball in the state of Texas.
Oh, okay.
The grassroots basketball just kind of pushed the school ball, and everybody had a team and doing it. You kind of see something like what Big E is running this weekend, started to dominate the process, and we got where we are. Things NCAA certified events, everything kept on going, and it's all in the sake of looking for symmetry and balance and what's best for the kids and give kids the best opportunity. But we know that playing, and mainly playing the right way, is a good thing. So when we look at the fall deal, you look at TexasBoysBasketball.com and Honey Money and Alvin Branch and those capacities and Five State Hoop Report, we'll be be covering stuff like we got the Lonestar JUCO Prep Showcase, which I think is one of the biggest opportunities for obviously it's thriving at the junior college level, but for high school kids to go with their high school team and play in front of that many college coaches between that event and the Elite 14, there's no bigger opportunity than that for with your high school team, and some of them never get that with their summer team.
Right. I'm pretty excited about the JUCO Prep Showcase this year.
Yep. Well, we headed in a good direction. We got to roll our sleeves up and dot some I's and cross some T's and do some things. Really excited what we're doing with Drive Nation right now. We're utilizing their technology there. And Drive Nation is probably going to be coming on board and being involved in some things here at Lonestar Sports Network, and we're excited about that process. But the more we galvanize and utilize our resources, when I say resources, I'm not always talking about money. I'm talking about our strengths, the things that we have, and obviously time and information is probably one of the more powerful things that we do have. So the opportunity to do some things with Jermaine O'Neal and Jocelyn Phantom, their Drive Nation, some of the things they're going to do to enhance prospects' experience. A lot of people doesn't have anything to do with Drive Nation, the Nike team. This is something that Drive Nation, the facility,
right,
provides in the community and not take advantage of. There's nobody else in the state of Texas that has the technology and the facilities that do some of the things they do. We're just not utilizing them. But Texas grassroots basketball wants to be on the cutting edge of things and bring to a good place one day, real soon. So JUCO Prep Showcase will be one of those places. I did get a chance to see Ani presented a piece of media to me today that showed me the cream of the crop, and we're gonna have a huge opportunity to do some things with that, to learn. But so as technology moves along, you think there's not a need for technology. When we're sitting around here trying to do stuff that people in the IT world can do with a bat of an eye, the value. We're sitting here, okay, we got this content right here. How do we create and tweak this so this content is here?
Right.
That's not rocket science for non-basketball people or the IT people. The IT world doesn't really all the way know, and I know that for a mere reason. I got a meeting tomorrow. The IT world does not totally know what basketball people need. So there's this huge bridge right here being connected, and that's one of the beautiful things about our main show sponsor is Fast Small Sports and Synergy, and some of those people, they were able to go and tap into the technology world and gain and pull out of that and learn to utilize it. But I think we've only scratched the surface. And one of the parents and the kids, that $8 billion industry, the only place that we're utilizing the technology is the credit card swiping in and out of the events. And that's only scratching the surface. We know everybody needs to make their money, so that's part of it, including Texas Grassroots Basketball.org and TexasBoysBasketball.com and the Lonestar Sports Show and Sports Resources. Everybody needs to make their money, but when we're going to be more effective and more, I would say, efficient when we get a better understanding, a better handle, and start to marry some of this information and knowledge and technology into the needs that we have in sports. What else? So we're going to cover Elite 14. Well, first of all, Lonestar Sports, Lonestar JUCO Prep Showcase. We have anywhere from 50, 60 Division I coaches. Have had as many as about 89. I think we may have been over 100 one time. A huge opportunity for the schools that are going to be participating in that. And none of those schools will be UIL schools, but they will be schools that all will have somewhere between 4 to 6 Division I prospects on each team that will play at the next level. So that's a huge opportunity for those kids to be during that time. And our scholastic environment, with the way what has gone on with the new NCAA rulings, I think that, and I was told this by a buddy, I wouldn't call him a mentor, but just a close friend, that scholastic basketball, when y'all hear me say scholastic basketball, what am I talking about? I'm not talking about basketball in the library. I'm talking about basketball with your high school academic institution that will be on that team. Is that will have it's going to have a huge impact. And you just saw it right there with you eliminating some of July to turn around and possibly give it to you in June in a different way. Elite 14 is another place. I can remember when I first started with them, they didn't even know college coaches could come.
Yeah, I remember you telling that story.
Right, and college coaches could be there. And I can remember the morning of, man, you sure we can come? I told my compliance officer, is it the high school team? Everybody's trying to make sure because nobody wants to have an NCAA violation, even though it's probably a secondary violation, but a violation is a violation. But it's just a lack of information and knowledge, and now that thing is gone from, maybe 12, 13, 14 teams to 40 teams. It's gone from 5 or 6 college coaches to probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about 70 or 80 college coaches, and I wouldn't be surprised this year if they don't go over 100. Another huge opportunity for our kids. We're not taking advantage of doing the appropriate things to give our kids the best opportunity we possibly can. And if you really want to know the real truth of the matter, that's why Alan Branch got into this. I'm an engineer by education. I was operating landscape irrigation contract business, not doing bad. But I saw the opportunity to really, and not until the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, I really see how much opportunity there is to impact our community and our young people and how they will be able to. And really the whole thing is just about nurturing the young people to have to be prepared to impact our communities and make this a better place. And we don't have to sit around with Agent Orange in the White House and what's the Meyer boy up there at Ohio State, Urban Meyer,
right. Yeah.
Pulling stunts like that, and we can have our kids and we can have a better place. It's kind of like some of the old soul songs. I can't remember which one of the songs I'm talking about. Can we make this a better world? I don't think anybody has a better chance of making this a better world than the community of sports. I think entertainment is right there second. I think education is up at the top of the list. But sports is, if it takes its rightful role and is handled appropriately, can have a huge thing. So we're right here at Lone Star Sports Show on the Lone Star Sports Network. And, yeah, that's just what we're doing here. We're doing the all things sports, all things Texas. It's Basketball Thursday. Hey, all you freshmen, you know you guys have just started your academic deal. Do you know where your 48H is? Do you know where your academic core worksheet is? Do you know where you are academically? Don't assume. Don't take for granted. Go see what's going on in your life, because it may not be your problem because some adult didn't do this, or parents, you're trusting people to do things with your kids, but you want to take the responsibility for their success. So don't trust somebody. Go find out what's going on with your kids. Understand, if you don't know the answer, go find the answer. Go do a little research. We got Google now.
Google does a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it ain't what it used to be. I mean, there's just so much, but it's easier for us to believe people that are telling us what we want to hear, whether it's the truth or not. Hey, go educate yourself. We're right here at the Lone Star Sports Show. We wound down on another one. Yeah, it was Basketball Thursday, and hopefully got enough basketball in there, but right now we're kind of in that limbo situation. We'll be coming back with more next week. We'll be here all next week, I believe, and then we going into the Labor Day weekend. We got to have a staff meeting here when the show is over. We'll decide what day we're going to take off for Labor Day. We're going to take Thursday or Tuesday off for Labor Day. I need a break. I got a lot going on. Y'all going to be wanting me to be in the gym anyway Labor Day weekend. But we'll see you on next Tuesday for sure with more of the Lone Star Sports Show. All things sports, all things Texas. Have a great weekend. God bless. Be careful, be safe, and continue to stay conscious of what it is that you are in pursuit of. See you on the next one.